We've come this morning to a place where the sea meets the sand. Sand dunes right there, a little bit well trodden, so there's footprints all over them, but it's still really cool. You have literally the sand dunes right there and then the sea right behind us. So we're gonna climb up this dune, watch sunrise from the top, potentially fly a drone from the top. Beautiful morning. Wow, it is so beautiful up here right now. The top of just the dune, it's just on top of the road here. And you have these amazing dunes out that way. And you can still hear the waves of the sea right here. Phenomenal. I'm going back and forth between what I want to do. Do I want to take out my camera gear, or do I want to run down to the van and get my drone out? Because I think a drone shot here would be epic. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe let's take a picture for now. The dunes are beautiful, but probably a little bit hard to photograph because there's not a whole lot of contrast in them right now with the sun down. But I guess let's get gear out and see what happens. I just noticed on my map that it's a national park here. I had no idea. So I don't know if I'm allowed to fly the drone, so I'm not going to. I'm behaving myself. I'm walking back to the camera. I was just helping some of the participants. Obviously this is a workshop, and you've probably seen me the past couple episodes taking pictures. But what I tend to do is I get my camera set up on one single photo that I like, I sit on it, and then I run around helping other people with their compositions, with their photos. So I've been helping people. I'm back at my camera, which has this extremely wide composition going on to show the sea and the sand, but there's this incredible sky over the dunes that I really want to capture. But there's no contrast in it because there's no sunlight. It's all too cloudy. So I think maybe a wide angle image that's mostly sky, a little bit of dunes on the bottom might work. So I think I'm gonna switch away from this wide shot I don't think works. I'll show it to you right now. And try this one. Don't really think I got a keeper there from a photography standpoint, but from a life standpoint that was awesome. Just watching that incredible sunrise over the dunes with some awesome people. And we are now about to jump into the van, and we got about a 5-hour drive. We're heading to Etosha National Park. We made it to Etosha, and I know it seems like we're jumping around this country a lot, and that's because, well, we kind of are. We made it to Etosha, and I decided it's very hard to vlog on safari. So, future Brendan here, you know, from the future, and sorry the audio is probably pretty bad, even on this Yeti mic here, just because I'm in our office in Cape Town. We're at this co-working space here in Cape Town, and it's this big, massive open area, and the sound just bounces all over the place. So sorry about the audio. But, and sorry that I'm coming at you from the future, but the rest of today's video is going to be a mix of voiceover and me talking to you guys because, yeah, it's really hard to vlog on safari. And I kind of wanted to talk about Etosha National Park and give it the credit it deserves from just a beauty standpoint. And I didn't do that while I was vlogging. So we're in Etosha for 2 nights. 3 days. We have 6+ safaris, staying at 2 different lodges, and it is incredible. Etosha is like, it's unreal. But before I get to all the Etosha footage, I need to get something off my chest. The NWR in Namibia is terrible. And yes, I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that tourism has just grown so quickly in Namibia, but a lot of it is just, I don't know, a lack of caring. 5 years ago when I went to Namibia, the NWR was really enthusiastic and they were really trying to help promote Namibia and try to bring tourists into Namibia and make sure that the tourists were happy in Namibia. The accommodation was looked after and quite nice. Nowadays, 5 years later, the accommodation's already starting to crumble a bit. The customer service is just non-existent. I feel like every one of the NWR staff just hates their job and hates tourists, and it really kind of comes across when you're dealing with them. And then on top of it, there's just no infrastructure that's been built up over the past 5 years. For example, when we got to Etosha National Park, I went to sign in the group to check us into the hotel and to book tours and to pay for our permit. It took well over an hour to do that because the power went out and they didn't have a generator. Then the network went down and everything's cloud-based, internet-based, even though the internet there is not reliable. Because the network was down, they needed me to pay everything with cash. But of course, when you're a group of 7 people paying for like 6 safaris and a bunch of other things, nobody carries that much cash. It's just a brick of cash. Nobody has it. And they were refusing to give us our safari vehicles until I paid in cash. Of course, they don't even have an ATM for 170 kilometers. There's no ATM at the national park, within the national park, which is crazy in itself. So I battled and struggled, and eventually somehow as a group we came up with enough cash. Luckily I had a surplus of cash, and luckily some of the participants had some cash to lend until we got out of the national park. But the NWR, honestly, the amount of money that goes into Namibia tourism and the amount of money that flows through Etosha National Park and Sossusvlei and all these things, there's no excuse for the infrastructure to be in disarray. If anything, they should be trying to build the infrastructure. But there's not enough hotel rooms in Etosha, there's not enough campsites in Etosha, there's not enough safari vehicles in Etosha. They just don't have enough infrastructure, and I have no idea where all this tourism money into the national park is going, because it's not being reinvested into the tourism industry that's doing so much for the country. Anyways, rant's over. Let's get to Etosha because it is incredible. By the time we finally dealt with our situation, we only had a little over an hour to safari before sunset. But within minutes of leaving the gates, the treasures of Etosha made themselves seen. A trio of elephants stood like an African icon under a beautiful tree. Birds danced in and out of a massive nest above them. It was seriously like a dream. It was like a scene from The Lion King. We watched them through the tall grass and silently urged them into positions where we'd be able to make great photos. And soon, when we were satisfied, we set off. But Etosha can be temperamental. There are days you see so much, and there are days where it seems like a barren wasteland. This afternoon, we started to worry that it was the latter. After bumping along the washboard for a while, finally a small family of giraffes lifted our spirits. A darling steenbok, the second smallest antelope in the world and a proud member of the beautiful 5, made an appearance too. But honestly, we retreated to the lodge feeling underwhelmed. Etosha wasn't getting off to the best start. That night, I organized for our group to go on a night safari, and 5 minutes in, I worried I'd regret it. Sure, night safaris can yield massive prizes, but they can just as easily bust. And when they fail, it's easy to wish you'd stayed in bed where it's warm and comfortable. The first hour we drove around peering into the night, not spotting anything. Then, at a waterhole, a lone rhino thumps towards us. We see a smaller one hopping along behind her. A massive elephant soon joins and jealously splashes them with water, unwilling to share. A cackling can be heard behind us, and a small pack of hyenas enters the fray. But as quickly as they arrive, they seem spooked and scattered. Then, off in the distance, a female lion prowls into our vision. A giant male isn't far behind her. They put on a show, and at some moments, they're a meter from our vehicle. There's little more humbling than looking into the eyes of a lion. We're all weakened and in complete awe. Of course, the lions don't seem all that concerned with their lack of privacy. It seems this meeting is more than chance, it's conjugal. We stay with the lions, the rhinos, and the elephant for well over an hour. Surrounded by 3 of the big 5, we simply sit entranced by the power of this wonderful moment. Eventually, we pull ourselves away and back to the lodge, not just satisfied with our find, but adrenaline-filled and ready for tomorrow. And tomorrow, I'll have another video. I have the 600mm lens, as you know, the giant bazooka of a lens. And tomorrow, on tomorrow's episode, I'm gonna take it out into the field in Etosha and kind of walk you through my thoughts on it and if it's a viable option for safari, if it's something you might wanna bring on safari. So, I guess I'll see you guys there on another episode from Etosha National Park. Hopefully lots of wildlife, hopefully some cool photos, and yeah, I'll see you there. Peace.